Uh, Welcome everyone to I2E Knowledge Series. I'm Srirag. I'm part of I2E Startup Initiatives. So we at I2E do consider that knowledge sharing is the key to opening up a huge lot of opportunities, and we always aspire to bring in more people like you as a part of our series to share your thoughts and experiences as well. Today we have Lakshdeep Rajput, founder and CEO of Searchtap, with us. So Searchtap is a search technology startup that helps e-commerce companies to improve search-led conversions. Welcome to I2E Knowledge Series, Lex, and it is indeed a great pleasure to have you here.
Hi guys, happy to be here. Happy to share, my learnings with all of you, and great to talk to you, Shirag.
Great, great. Probably, Lex, why can't we start with, probably you can give a quick intro about yourself, your what your background is, and probably we'll start off with a specific set of questions,
Sure,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. So I'm a computer engineer by background. I finished my engineering in 2007. Then I went on to work for a fintech company, and I was working with a couple of large hedge funds based out of the US and UK. Guys managing billions of dollars. So I was helping them with technology. And then in 2010, I started my first company by the name Green Apple Solutions. So that was like a IT services company, and then it's still going on till now. And then in 2016, I started a second company by the name BitKit Private Limited. So Searchtap is actually one of our products, and then we have more products from the same company. So that's what I am doing currently. My major focus at this point in time is Searchtap, where we are largely working with a lot of e-commerce companies. I think we are working with over 400 e-commerce companies at this point in time. Helping them improve search and conversions on their website.
Right, great. So probably I'll start off with a quick question. Why thought of starting building a business around search? Is there any specific thought behind that, or is there that itself a huge challenge that you came across? How does that came up?
Sure. So I'll tell you, as I mentioned, I was doing IT consulting, and then we were working with, again, a lot of startups and larger enterprises across the globe. And we always wanted to shift from being a services company to a product company because it has more predictable revenue. There's recurring revenue. So we kind of wanted to get into the SaaS space, and we were always looking for a good opportunity. Luckily, what happened was we were doing a couple of enterprise grade search technology solutions for our clients, and then we realized that search is a problem that no one has really solved for the masses. So even if you look around, anything and everybody, anything that you need to find, you would actually go to Google to find, while you know that that information might be available on a particular website. I'll take an example. So let's say your bank. If you want to figure out what is the interest rate on the savings bank that they offer, or a deposit rate, you know if you go and try and find that information on the bank's website, it's highly unlikely that you will be able to find the right link. What you would want to go, and what you would probably do instead, is go to Google, write the name of your bank and say, interest rate or savings rate, and then you would expect Google to help you find the right link, while you always knew that information was available on a particular website. So when we looked around, we looked at the government websites, we looked at e-commerce, large e-commerce websites. A lot of them had not been able to solve this problem. So barring a few people like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra in India, not many e-commerce companies had solved that problem. And we saw that there are billions of websites out there, and not many have a great search experience. So we thought that here is the idea which we can productize and probably take it to mass market, and that's where the idea of Searchtap came in.
Great to hear that. So, speaking specifically about how big is your team right now?
So we've got close to a 25 member team right now. It's spread across customer success, core product development, integration, sales, marketing. So we're a very lean team, 25 people.
Right. Yep. So going specifically again into the segment that we want you to actually speak more about, which is the sales part of it. So I know the fact that I've heard from your team members as well. I've been in touch with Joy for quite some time right now. So I used to hear that you yourself is actually taking the lead for the sales for the organization as well. So probably I would ask when did your probably first sale happen, and what was your experience at Searchtap, the first sale that happened at Searchtap?
Okay. So, the first sale at Searchtap actually happened when Searchtap did not exist. And I'll tell you why. So we
Okay.
had that concept. We were doing these enterprise, solutions around search. And while we had that idea that we could probably productize this and take to other people, what we did was we actually approached a couple of people in our network, people whom we thought actually needed search. So we kind of got the initial touch base, and then spoke to a couple of people, and tried to get a couple of pilots. So we kind of had a couple of pilots, and mind you, these pilots were paid pilots. They were not free. So we kind of got a couple of clients, and then went back, made some integrations, did some solutions for them. And once we knew that we could deliver on what we intended to deliver, we actually went ahead and launched the Searchtap brand. In fact, we actually made our website 3 months post we had our initial 3 4 clients. So we didn't even have a website, and we had clients.
Yeah, that's typical hustle that happens in the initial period, I guess, and that's how you will typically start building a product altogether also. Right. So going back again, how do the typical customer acquisition happen there? So is it more like you have a lot of inbound queries coming in right now, or how it evolved from the initial period to what it is right now? To I think it's more than 3 years that you're running the organization, and
Yeah.
you're sort of like you have how does it work? Whether it's an inbound or it's an outbound, purely outbound strategy that you're looking at.
Sure. So there are a couple of strategies that we have, for our sales. So one is, of course, the traditional outbound, wherein we approach certain prospects, and then we have a very very rigorous criteria on who we want to approach, whether our solution will make sense for them, whether they will have some sort of a positive ROI. So we have an outbound approach. Apart from that, what we also have is partnerships with various e-commerce vendors, so people who are into software development for e-commerce sites, people who do Magento and Shopify development, people who do digital marketing, advertising, people who are doing PR for e-commerce companies. So we kind of are plugged in very very well into the ecosystem, and luckily our search technology is is a very very premium product. The kind of search speed that we have, kind of we deliver search results in under 100 milliseconds for any query. So given the search speed, given the overall experience, we are actually like a premium solution. And for that reason, because we offer a premium experience, we are able to tap into all the partner network, all the companies which work in this space, and they value our product to be a premium product. So partnerships has really helped us, bring more traction. Apart from that, we have an app listed on the Shopify App Store under the brand name Spark. So there's a lot of organic inbound inquiries that come in from there. In fact, people go explore our solution, look at our reviews on the App Store. It's phenomenal, the kind of reviews that we have on the Shopify Play Store, Shopify App Store, and then a lot of people install our app from there. Apart from that, I think there is our branding is available on a couple of our clients. So when you use a search on an e-commerce site, with the search results, it says powered by Searchtap, and through that also, a lot of people who experience that great search experience and who are running similar businesses or our competitors, they kind of approach us. So it's like a multi-pronged strategy that we have for our sales.
Right. So predominantly, I heard that predominantly you're repeatedly saying that the partnerships had helped you a lot on that front as well. So yeah, that's great to hear
Yeah,
that as well.
partnership.
Right. So
So it kind of,
yeah, please.
just to add to that, it kind of works both ways. So when we know that there is a good partner which is working with a large brand, and they offer certain type of solutions, we are happy to take them to some of our clients as well and introduce them, make the introductions where we understand that even our clients will benefit from the services of our partners. So it's like a win-win scenario for our partners and for us.
Right. Great to hear that. Yep. So I would specifically want to ask you. So this is something that I typically ask everyone. So every founders that I used to meet also. Uh, what is a wow moment that you had? A moment of extraordinary customer experience that you had in your organization.
So one time it so happened that we'd approached a large brand, and I'll probably not name them because of the NDAs that we have in place, and I'll
Sure.
not be able to use that name. But what happened was they weren't so convinced, if our search could make like a huge ROI difference for them. And then we really convinced them to kind of at least try it out once. And then, once they tried it out, within a week's time, they had such a huge uptick in sales on their website that they actually came back to us. They wrote to us and then they said, we've been just wowed by your product, and then we are happy to give you any sort of testimonial that you need. We are happy to connect you with some of our other people in the same network that they have. I think that was phenomenal for me. And because that's when Searchtap was very very small. We were gunning for our initial 25 clients, and they were one of them. Since then, we've kind of grown a lot. In fact, we process over 75 million searches every month. Now, 75 million searches every month is actually a very, very big number. We power like, hundreds of websites now. So there are a lot of wow moments that now happen, but I think that would be my first wow moment where a large client came back to us and they expressed that they were so happy.
Great, yeah, great to hear that. So 75 million, like you said, 75 million search is not a very, not a small number. Indeed, that makes a lot of sense of, in terms of the volume of search that happens with your tool being used by multiple e-commerce, stores and on Shopify and other platforms. So I would like to ask that what are the kind of not mistakes I would say, but more than that of sort of learnings that you had while you were building the product or you are setting your strategy for sales, or what are the kind of key learnings that you gained during this period?
Sure. Sure. So, as I said, this was the first time that we had ventured into our product. So we were earlier into the services industry where the ticket sizes were much larger. They were like, projects would start at $10,000 and upwards, and we've done projects which were $100,000, $200,000, extremely large projects which would run into years. Now the product game was altogether very, very different. I think one of the key learnings that we have that I've had is, if you are targeting the small to medium industry, small and medium businesses who are probably going to pay you a couple hundred to a couple $1,000s in a year, you need to show them the ROI for their business that you've generated. I think that's extremely, extremely key. It has to be measurable. It has to be very, very quantifiable. So you can't just simply go and say, here is our product, it'll help you. Here are the features. Here are the 10 features that you get with our product. That does not sell. What sells is what is the benefit that they get out of it. And so one of the key learning that we've had is we always go back to our clients and we tell them what is the kind of revenue contribution that we do for them once they have implemented our solution. And typically what we've seen is, luckily, we've been able to contribute anywhere between 15 to 40% of their overall revenues. Now imagine there is some technology that you've implemented which is impacting 15 to 40% of your overall revenues with your top line. I think that's just phenomenal, and I think for us to bring that number to our clients, help them understand how this number happens, is the most important thing. And I think it's extremely key for us to this is the learning that I always try and pass it on to my team, whether it is the sales team, whether it is the marketing team, or even the customer success team. They need to focus on the ROI for the customer, and sales would happen.
Right, that's great. That's literally, you coming back and telling everyone that from a perspective of feature selling, standpoint, everyone should start shifting to a benefit that the customer is gaining through the product that they are we are trying to sell. Right.
Yeah, I mean, just to add, you could do just one thing, as long as you are doing that one thing well, and that one thing adds some value to the customer, sales would happen. So we don't do personalization, we don't do a ton of stuff, we don't do push notification, we don't do a lot, we only do one thing, but we do it the best. So as I was saying earlier, we like an enterprise solution for search. We are like the fastest search that you would see, the most phenomenal search experience that you could have. So I think that's the key. You do one thing, but you do that well.
Do that well, do that right. Great. So I used to hear that the three P's for the sales, which is people, product, and process. So I've heard a lot about the product. Probably would be great to hear a little bit about the people that you have in your team who is running the show around, and what sort of process that you follow to make sure that you add more customers, you grow day by day, week by week, month by month, and year by year.
Sure, sure. So I think when it comes to people, as I mentioned, we are a young company, we are a small company. The average age probably at Searchtap would be in the 25, maybe 26. So most of the guys that we have are fairly young, and I think one of the most important things that I tend to do, at Searchtap is to train them well, for them to understand what is the overall landscape. So when you talk about search, there are no colleges, there are no online classes which will tell you, what are the kind of search technologies available. There is no specific course to that. So one of the first things that we do is probably a month-long training on search. Would you believe that? Whether you are joining the tech team, whether you're joining the sales team, or you are a part of the marketing team, you have to mandatorily go through that 4 to 6 week of process where you would read anything and everything about search, about the competitors, about what we do, who our clients are, how we help them. I think that's extremely important for you to invest into your people. And once you've made an initial investment, you can recoup that multiple times over. So having that connect, having people, uh, you know eat, sleep, breathe, the solution, what we offer is extremely key. And training them becomes by default the most important thing. Apart from that, you talked about processes. I think processes are super important. If you don't have processes, then I think you will never have predictable outcomes. So if you know that as a process you need to prospect, this is your prospecting tool, this is how you would prospect, this is who you would target, these are how many people who would target, what is the number of people who where you are expecting some sort of a positive response, what is your conversion rates. So unless you have processes to measure, unless you have processes to execute what you are doing, it's going to be a nightmare. You would always run into a month where you have some great success, and then there will be like a couple of months where there is absolutely no success. So processes become very very key, and not just for sales. I know that we're talking about sales, but also for customer success. What is the kind of SLA that you would have for a customer inquiry. All of that is extremely important.
Yeah, great, great. So considering we are almost all of the everywhere across the globe has been affected by the COVID-19 situation. So I would also like to touch upon that part as well. How it has been probably positively impacted your business, or how what is the positive result that you have seen at least from that overall.
I mean, I'm happy that somebody is talking about what the positives of the overall situation are. I know that there are many many businesses which are impacted negatively, and my heart goes out for all of them. Luckily, at Searchtap, we've seen like a positive sort of an impact of the overall situation, and I'll take an example of that. So right now everybody's so scared to go out of their homes, not just in India but across the globe. So what is happening is all the retailers who were predominantly offline, or who were predominantly focused on their sales coming from people walking into their stores, are the ones who are realizing that the world has now moved into a completely different direction. And what that has done is we are seeing a lot of inquiries coming to us from the US market. In fact, you would not believe, the business that we did in the last probably 3 quarters. We've done that sort of business in the last 2 months alone, since the whole lockdown situation, since the whole COVID situation has happened. Now that's the US market, which I believe is predominantly focusing on recovery. Now, at the very same time, if you talk about the India market, so there are, I mean, there are negatives and there are positives in the India market that I'm seeing. So the negatives are, people are, especially businesses, smaller businesses, which don't have too much of a runway. They're trying to conserve cash, and some of them are probably even defaulting on their payments. So that is happening, which is the negative aspect of it. But at the very same time, there are some larger retailers uh, which are focusing very very heavily on the online space. So I'll take the name of a bestseller group. So they are the ones who own brand names Veromoda, Only, Jack and Jones. Now they understand that the whole offline thing, the whole retail space might take some time to recover, and they need to bet big on the online space. So they have become very very aggressive when it comes to search, very, very aggressive when it comes to their e-commerce store. So I think we are seeing the positives and the negatives both, at least in the India market. But overall, it's a positive situation. And just to add to the overall thing, I believe that for the e-commerce industry, this is going to be a big change and a big positive change. So I mean, this is what is going to happen to them, what happened in the times of demonetization to Paytm. The digital payments completely took off. And I believe that same thing is going to happen to the e-commerce industry in India and outside of India.
Yep. Great, great. So that is a typical trend. So even I recently had a chat with Sally from AppMaker, so which you are also connected. So so same feedback is what I also hear from them as well. So the e-com space has been insanely taken up very well. There has been a huge inflow of inbound queries coming in, and that is the boost that has been seen in the that has been the trend for probably the last two months or so. Right. So,
Right.
so cool. We are again coming towards the end of our probably the first session. So the next couple of minutes, I would like to take you through a quick rapid fire session. So nothing much to worry. I would probably ask you two or three questions out there. So let's go.
Do I get a coffee hamper in
Right. So this is your first question. Here it is. Hope you are able to see that on your screen.
Not yet.
Cool. So probably I'll ask you right away. That would be much better, I think. What is your favorite book?
What is my favorite book?
Yep.
Well, I think that would be The Alchemist. I
Okay.
know it's a cliche answer, but that's the book that I love the most.
Right. So the next would be the two things that you can't live without.
The two things I can't live without. My family, my daughter. I think there's that's something that I cannot live without. That's number one, and yeah, probably reading. I tend to read a lot. I think it's just very very difficult for me not to read in a day. I tend to spend like an hour or more every day reading.
Great, great. So moving on to next, what is the best piece of advice that you have received?
The best piece of advice is probably not to have financial goals in a business. Initially when I started my business, I actually had a financial goal in mind, and I said, what if one day I could make X kind of money? I'd consider myself successful. And I think that was sort of short sighted. And I didn't realize, somebody gave me that advice like 10 years back. And I thought, yeah, maybe you're at a very different level altogether, and then probably you don't understand the struggles that I'm having. And today, I mean, our turnover, the revenue, the kind of money that we make is probably 5 times, 10 times of what I had initially thought of. And you know, I think financial goals is not something that you should have. You should have goals in terms of success for your business, and then the money will automatically flow.
So before we go ahead and end our session, I would specifically would love to ask or hear your recommendation or people you can actually bring to I2E Knowledge Series. Probably the sort of like the sales leaders or the founders, whoever it is. You could give us an intro, or you would like to see a part of I2E Knowledge Series later on.
Sure, absolutely. I guess if I were to nominate one person, I would say you should talk to Shashwat from Marmeto. These guys are based out of Bangalore. I think they're not a very old company, probably maybe 2.5 year old company. And I think the kind of success that they've seen is absolutely phenomenal. So they are into services as well as some products. And I think Shashwat, he's a very young guy, but I think he's extremely hardworking. And what they've achieved in the last 2.5 years maybe is something that I have not seen companies achieve in probably 7 years, 8 years. So I think I'd love to for you to talk to them and see what they have to say about the whole thing.
Definitely, Laksha. I'll definitely will get in touch with Shashwat as well. So towards that, we are coming to the end of our discussion, and thanks a lot, Laksh, for spending time with us, sharing your thoughts, and sharing your experiences with us. Let's definitely keep in touch, and we'll catch up later. Thanks a lot for your
Sure,
time.
absolutely. Lovely talking to you, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.